Good afternoon, everyone. To all of you, I hope you are doing great, and thank you for joining us at the right time. I'm Priyanka Betgeri, coordinator of design department at Sasmira's Institute of Design and Textiles, SIDT. I, along with our Dean Dr. Krishnendu Datta and all my team members, welcome you all to our live session series on the topic based upon design education and future prospects in industry post-COVID era. So topic for today is visual merchandising, a key tool to enhance fashion retail scenario post-COVID, and the speaker for today is Miss Prachi Kaptidhillo. Prachi will join us in a bit. Until then, I request your patience. I hope all of you are doing fine. So today we will be discussing about what is visual merchandising and its impact. Hi Prachi.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi. I still can't see your video, so
Oh, is it?
one moment. It's connecting. Yeah. Let me connect back one more time.
Sure. All right. There is some issue from her end. We'll just resolve. Kindly wait, all of you. Wonderful to see you all join in.
Yeah, now I can see you.
Excellent.
Yes. Great.
Prachi, it's so good to see you.
Same here. Absolutely a pleasure.
A very good afternoon to you. And I gave a short intro about what the session is about. And now I will introduce you to the wonderful audience who has joined us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, Prachi is a PhD scholar, an entrepreneur, a creative enthusiast, a visual merchandiser, a vivid learner, and a guest faculty, along with being yoga instructor, are a few words that describe Prachi. She established herself at an early age of 20 years as a visual merchandiser in 2007 and gained experience with various Indian retailers such as Shoppers Stop, Duty Free Shop, Future Group, Aditya Birla, and so on. Today, she has established a design consultancy, Amaya Arts Private Limited, that provides VM solutions and services to various brands. She is also a fitness enthusiast and believes in giving back to her society, from where she has gained a lot. As an endeavor towards this thought, she successfully teaches the very ancient form of fitness, yoga, to many under the name of Yoga Time with Prachi. That's wonderful to know.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Priyanka.
Yes, so we are happy to have you here, and we are looking forward to an incredible discussion about so many things related to visual merchandising.
Yes.
And there could be some people who have joined us today for this session who may not be aware of what is visual merchandising. So can we just start off with what is visual merchandising and its function?
Yes, sure, absolutely. Thank you, Priyanka, first of all, for this wonderful introduction and for having me with you all. It's indeed a great, great pleasure to always associate with you and such a wonderful team. So, coming to the topic today, which is extremely relevant in today's scenario, we are talking about visual merchandising today. Looking at how our lifestyles have changed, looking at where we are standing today because of the pandemic, how it has impacted us, I feel the most affected sector or the most affected area of the business is retail sector today. So whenever we talk about visual merchandising, it's in the context of retail industry itself. So it is important that before I come directly to visual merchandising, I talk a little bit about retail and we understand how this fits into the retail scenario. So basically, when we talk about retail, there are various retail formats available to us, and now new retail formats are getting introduced. Like it's directly coming from the traders now, from the manufacturers, the stuff. But now, in this discussion today, since we are at this phase, I'm going to talk pre-COVID and post-COVID both. So it will give a good idea about what we are trying to understand here. So this is pre-COVID, how things worked. So retailers were there, they were different formats, they had different requirements, different needs to address to their target consumers. Like for example, if you're talking about a format that is a supermarket, jaise ab Reliance Smart hai, then it is more about convenience, giving convenience to your customers and communicating the offers that are available to your customers. If we talk about luxury retail, which is high-end retail, then we are talking about delivering experience to your customers, you know, so taking them through the journey of the brand, what the brand is all about. So all of this, you know, different formats, like I just gave 2 examples, would have different set of requirements needed to be addressed and communicated to their consumers. All of this is put into a system and is transferred to the customers through visual merchandising channel, is what I would say. Now, how that happens? Basically, if we look at textual definitions of visual merchandising, it is more to do with artful presentation of your store, of your products, in order to increase the profitability and, of course, sales of your brand for your stores. Now it is now, since now I'm talking about the times that we are in and post-COVID, it is becoming more relevant in terms of also the digital interfaces that we are talking. Okay, so so more like an app, an e-commerce app. So how would VM fit into over there? So there's an overlap slightly between the user interface and visual merchandising, which we will talk as our session progresses. But coming back to VM specific elements, if somebody has to understand कि अगर मैं VM बोल रही हूँ, so what are those elements that I should be looking at? Then it is more to do with your windows, store exteriors, store interiors, the layout, आपका अंदर का layout कैसे है, fixtures, props, mannequins. So I've got some images to show the audience here. So I'm just quickly gonna take them. I won't take much time. Quickly gonna take them through these images. So that's like an exterior of the store. That's the facade. This encompasses VM. That's like the interior of the store, which again is a part of visual merchandising. Then I'm gonna take, yes. Now these are the fixtures that we are looking at. Just पे product रखा हुआ है. The design of this fixture is again visual merchandising. Of course, mannequins and styling. So that is a very important part. And windows. And when we talk about online, it's about the look and feel of the website, basically. So yeah. So that's VM to introduce it. I can go on and on about VM.
Right. So how do you think that VM affects the fashion retail in general?
See, when I started talking about retail, I spoke about retail as a whole. Now you have made it more specific. You've come down to fashion retail specifically because we are talking to fashion students here.
Yes.
Now, whenever we are talking about retail, we are talking about a consumer who is trying to satisfy his or her needs. Now, these needs could be primary in nature, which are totally utility based, and these needs could be also hedonic in nature or secondary in nature, that are just to satisfy your entertainment needs. So just to seek pleasure out of it. Fashion falls somewhere in between. So there is no clear divide as to I can say that fashion आप utilitarian में डालिए या fashion आप hedonic में डालिए. There is no clear divide. Some products in the fashion industry are a part of your primary needs, like your basics, your loungewear, your some of your sportswear, activewear, you know, so all of these form a part of utilitarian products, and some are highly hedonic, you know, so you're just indulging them, your party wears, your accessories, all of these are hedonic in nature. So there's an overlap always. And visual merchandising specifically tries to address, to communicate this to their customers, because when a customer is seeking to satisfy her utilitarian need, then she is wanting to have convenience in her shopping and not have anything else, you know. So मुझे मेरा product चाहिए, मुझे price चाहिए, and that is delivered by visual merchandising, by giving an ease of access in the store, or by providing good signages, clarity in signages. And similarly for hedonic, it's more to do with experience. So experience is delivered by, you know, how the store is designed, what the kind of lightings are, what the kind of colors and textures are used in the store, even what, yeah, ambience, store atmosphere basically, and even the density of the product, you know, so how much of product are you placing in your store. So all of this is decided in specifically fashion retail by visual merchandising. That's the role that VM plays in getting the brand closer to the consumer. So that's the easiest explanation I can give.
No, that was relevant. That was really relevant. So let's go to the next question. What was the pre-COVID scene of fashion retail in India, both for exclusive brand outlets and large format multi-brand outlets?
Yeah. So just to address this question of yours, there is some information that I would like to show you all, so that you are able to gather it easily, that how things were and how things really changed. So a quick representation in form of some images over here. All right. So I'm just holding my phone. It might just not be so stable. Now, if you look at the screen, this is the pre-COVID scene that we are looking at, all right? And these are the numbers that were expected in 2020 before we were hit by the pandemic. So retail industry has been forever on a growth path. All right. So in many decades, retail has not really seen how should I say, a contraction in growth. So it has always been on a upward trajectory. Similarly, they had the experts in the field had forecasted that by 2030, the retail is going to basically triple. The consumption is going to triple by 2030, which sadly got affected by the pandemic that we are seeing. And this is how it looked like, all right? So this is another image now. And for the first time now in so many decades, retail was going through this hardship and seeing such a tough time. The growth of retail was because of some factors like elite affluent households that were there, clearization of households, and also the high appetite of spending by generation one, which got a sudden break and affected. All these factors came under pressure because of the pandemic, and hence the growth turned into a decline. So it started dropping, the growth. So that's how it got affected. And more so when we are talking about apparel, I feel that this was even more worst affected product line. That was because obviously we were locked down in our houses and our consumption dropped down, and that was the reason that we saw this. But the good news is so there was a positive growth seen in e-commerce market for apparel, which is what you see here. So e-commerce was still very underrated in 2020, and people were still, you know, used to buying in brick and mortar stores, physically in the stores. But pandemic suddenly brought this shift where the growth in brick and mortar, the top one that you see here is brick and mortar, it declined. And the bottom one that you see here is e-commerce. It got a good boost. So that suddenly picked up. So the sales
Prachi,
was still, yeah.
Prachi, if you have mentioned any figures, can you just say it loud, because we cannot see it in the visual.
All right. Yes. All right.
Yeah.
So in 2019, this, the growth was around minus 11% in 2019, but it went down further because of the pandemic and went down to minus 4%, which was like, you know, like a shocker to the brick and mortar stores. But in e-commerce, if you see, it got reduced. So it got a boost, and what was minus 48% here reduced and became minus 28. And from 2 to 3 trillion, we went to 3 to 4 trillions over here. So that is during pandemic. That is during just 1 year. Just imagine, it took a decade here to come from a 0.1 figure to 2 to 3, and it just took like a year to double it up. From 2 to 4, it just doubled it up in a year's time. So that's how different stores. And you also asked me about MBOs and EBOs. So just a moment, there is something that I would like to share. I will get it when we are doing it. But what we are projecting now, seeing the sentiment of people, seeing the sentiment of the market, is that we are expecting a recovery. We are expecting a delayed recovery. After 1 or 2 years, maybe we are going to come back to what was expected from retail. And yes, and we're going to be back in the market. Surprisingly, they are also predicting that the brick and mortar stores are still going to be very relevant. So that is a good news for fashion retail.
It is. It is.
Yes.
So my next question to you is that what was the level of VM usage, as in technically and aesthetically, in India pre-COVID, and its impact on fashion retail sales?
VM had gained a good traction. It became very relevant, you know. So there were times like a decade back, 10 years back, that visual merchandising was still in a nascent stage, and it was still something that came as a new information to people what VM is. But that's not the case. That was not the case till 2020. Even today, that's not the case. VM has gained a lot of importance because it is the main communication tool for your customers in fashion as well, you know. So you are introducing new products that are from your international forecast in your stores, and ultimately you want your customers to understand the product, and ultimately want your customers to buy that product. So for all this, there is a certain level of communication, be it through styling, be it through your brand image, be it through your store, because store is like a stage for your product, you know. So that is somehow representing the best out of your product. So how do you do up your stores? So a lot of importance has been placed. Brands have established very systematically this department function in their organizational structure, and there is a very defined structure for all the fashion brands. It established very well. Now, post 2020, there will be an addition to this function. That addition would be mostly about your UX, about your digital platforms. So our VMs now that will pass out henceforth will have to even have an additional skill with them to understand and be able to incorporate these tools as well for the digital platforms. So that's that. Yeah, that's how important VM played a role.
There's a shift from physical to virtual now.
I would not call it a shift. Actually, it's more of a convergence. You know, it's more of two things coming together to make a better setup. So it is going to be always a hybrid model. It won't be a shift from physical to it. It wouldn't be like that. It is going to be a hybrid model. Yes.
Yeah, and there are people who traditionally still like to visit stores and once things open up, I think it will boom rather, you know. There are few
Yes.
people, I think, as per few surveys, they say that, you know, about 50% of population with kids say that they will continue shopping online. But I think
Yeah.
that won't be it, you know. Now maybe they are at their
No,
convenience, they are
it's
doing it,
like,
but
yeah.
eventually I think they will hit the stores,
Yes,
isn't it?
it's like people are quite done by this sudden, unprecedented change that has
Yeah.
come to them, which was totally unexpected. Initially, it went well for some time, but it's very difficult to stay locked down in a house, for so long. And then there will be a percentage of crowd. Fortunately, we are in a country which is highly, highly populated. So we always have some chance and opportunities for all our businesses here. Mostly businesses get their clientele out of this big population. So there will be a divide in the society. People would say, some people would say, and mostly, very nice of you that you brought up this question. Mostly people would shift from brick and mortar to the digital platforms for their convenience shopping,
Then,
so for the grocery stores, and where you actually do not need a lot of experience. So, and
right,
you don't want to waste your time standing in queues, then people
absolutely.
would shift to digital platforms. But there
For
will be times when they
FMCG
want to
products,
indulge.
basically.
Yes.
Yeah,
And they want to indulge, so it's
right,
because to relieve themselves of the stress. So that is the
absolutely.
opportunity that lies for our fashion retail sector. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So, moving on to the next question, what is the present fashion retail scene in India during the COVID times? It's
Um,
pretty much aligned to the
yeah.
last one.
So see, like I told you, the roles are changing a bit. There is a bit of modification, alteration in the roles from what VMs used to do and what VM are doing and would do now in future. Now, I'll just give you a very practical example for this. So visual merchandisers used to basically in brick and mortar stores used to take care of the stores, of the look and feel of the store. They used to ensure the signages, they used to ensure the products, they used to ensure the styling of the mannequins done, the setups that were changing. So all of this was totally their responsibility. Suddenly stores closed. Now what do? What is it that they should be doing now? So then their role got shifted from implementing to making, to designing, to ideating, to creating, to conceptualizing. So so students that I have taught used to be very low morale when they used to go out कि ma'am हम design नहीं कर पाएंगे, we have to implement first and then we have to reach a stage where we will be able to design and show our creativity. But that's not the case now. Right now, like you said, 2020, uh, VMs are expected to put their thought process in place. They are expected to contribute to the brand in terms of, for displaying a particular product. What are the ways that you could think of and suggest the brand? Because they had to be obviously occupied during the lockdown that happened, and nobody knew how long this is going to be. So they started getting into creating, ideating. So their roles shifted a bit from implementation to creation. And now
So,
looking forward post this pandemic, their roles are going to be even more dynamic. And I really feel that all the students who are going to pass out now have to really uh, have to really gain a lot of skills, to be able to skills like photography, styling, sketching, so anything could be of use to make your skill set strong. Yeah.
yeah, so maybe, going hand in hand with the marketing and advertising team of theirs, they can conceptualize a
Yes.
better product show, and
Yeah,
work on it
totally.
together.
Yes, yes.
That's right. Um, what is the future of fashion retail post COVID? Will there be a post COVID boom in fashion retail? Now, this is a very, very important question.
See, fashion retail, specifically, we are talking about apparel here. there are some short-term changes that are going to come in apparel. There are some long-term changes that would come. In long term, I would say that there are a lot of chances that things would fall back to where they were in long term. But in short term, there is a sudden gain for some categories like loungewear, like athleisure, like sportswear. So specifically in fashion retail, some categories have gained a lot of attention, you know, because of the needs that have changed of the consumers primarily. And of course, the lifestyles have changed. You know, this pandemic has put people in a position where they have to really think now how to spend. You know, the spending is not
Yeah.
going to be totally mindlessly. They are going to put a lot of mind and spend wisely. So there
Yes.
will be a boom. It will be delayed by 2 years or so, 2 years or 3 years. But yes, we expect things to come back. And also, like I said earlier, we expect brick and mortar to be very, very relevant still, despite of the digital evasion that has happened. So yes, so that's what I feel.
Yes, so people are focusing only on essentials as of now, pretty much. Which also, apart
Yes,
from the
mostly.
essentials, clothing wise, but I think furniture, home decor, and these items have been really spent upon lately.
Yeah, so there are four key trends that I want to show you right now, which will
Yeah.
give you a better picture of um, yeah, here, watch this. So these are the trends that are growing to drive the growth in apparel industry is what we are seeing. All right. The first is premiumization. So how much of value do you add to your products? How much of premium products do you make? Because then that is directly related to your experience that you're trying to gain. Other is what we all know is e-commerce and digital. So I'm not going to stress more on this. There is a trend that is very important that is being seen that is focus on private labels. So the private labels by the established departmental brands. So this is also going to gain a lot of attention, and this is a key trend that is going to change this as well. Like I already said, our market is very, very lucrative in India. So there are going to be international players who would come in, and looking at the grim scenario world on a world level, Indian market looks fairly positive, and which would facilitate the entry of the international brands and also motivate them to come and get an access to our wide consumer base. So those are the trends that would drive the boom in our fashion retail sector.
That sounds so promising.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah, true.
that's promising. So how much will the usage and impact of VM be to enhance the fashion retail sales in post-COVID era?
Um, Again, I would like to divide it into two parts. All right. So um, things are not back to normal yet. Okay, and they don't seem to be for another year or so. So there are some short-term changes that have come in the application of VM, and there will be going to be some long-term changes that we are going to be looking at when we are talking about VM. So something like retooling your space, store space, and creating more space just to maintain social distancing is a short-term change that has come.
Yeah.
Something like having protective barriers at your checkouts, you know, like
Mm.
having markings in your stores to ensure the social distancing and not come too close to each other. Reducing the product density in your stores because you need space, so you have to obviously go low on your density. So these are some things that are short-term changes because of COVID. Also, a lot of emphasis has been put on signages because the communication for the customers is become prime when we are talking, because everybody is skeptic. Everybody is coming with a faith, with a belief on the brand if they are coming to your physical stores. So when they are there, they have to be assured with a lot of information that, you know, this way this particular sanitizer has been kept, that way you have to go. So everything in the store has to be done to make them feel more secure. So signages
Yes.
are playing a very important role. And the most important thing that retailers are facing today is we used to say that the more time the customer spends in your store, the better it is for the brand. But now we have to rethink that. So do you want your customers to spend a lot of time,
Spends a
or
lot
do
of
you
time.
want the customers to have a quick journey in the store and buy what they need and go
Yes.
out because of this? So that's something that looks short term. Um, should I move ahead with the long-term changes as well, or do you want to ask me
No,
something over
I
here?
think like just like you said, the other day I went to Decathlon and they had this 20 minutes criteria, which a person has to
Yeah.
enter and finish their whole shopping in 20 minutes. And there was
Yes,
this huge
absolutely.
line which would take at least 2 hours to get in. It was
Yes.
insane, and people were waiting
Yeah.
actually. So
Yeah.
people want that.
So there is a
Uh,
very sudden shift in some things, you know. And earlier, you will not believe, a retailer's dream used to be that the customer stays in the store forever and never moves out of the store. But but that has changed somehow. So yes, they want people to move out quickly. In
yes,
long term, if you see, in long term, the changes are going to be very vivid. It is already being implemented internationally. The countries who look better off in terms of taking control of COVID. So creating a space within a space. So not having your products too scattered within your store, but creating specific spaces in your stores is going to be helping. Creating uncluttered and streamlined stores where you have got clear vision in the store.
yeah,
Clarity is the topmost priority. You can't really
yeah.
confuse the consumer anymore. One-way
Simpler
system
layout
that
maybe.
IKEA
Yeah.
uses. Yes, absolutely. Simpler layouts. IKEA uses one-way system, you know, so they make their
Yeah.
customers enter from one side and exit from
And
another
exit
side.
from.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so that looks like a trend that might be looked at. Um, Also, showrooming, something that IKEA does again, you know, to have limited number of products on display, customers noting down those products, and while they check out, they pick up their products on the cash point. So that looks like another trend. The most important one is dividing your stores into your quick journeys and leisurely journeys. All right. So into two different zones. So fast moving products put in the quick journey stores, and the products that people want to indulge in or get engaged and go in for experience into the leisurely zone. Target in Texas has done this. They have already
Okay.
done it, implemented it. It looks
Okay.
very promising because it prepares the retailers to face such issues like, you know, in sudden lockdowns where their secondary products are totally kicked off. So what
Right.
do they do then? Then they work from the essential zone, from the quick moving area. So that
Right.
looks very promising. So
So
these
could
are
you give us an
something that, yeah,
example, if it were to implement in India, which brand can you
yes,
relate to in this context, you know, with this system that can function?
yes. Mostly
Can you
all
give an
departmental
example?
brands can, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. So mostly I will talk specific, and then mostly I will talk generic and then go specific. All departmental stores have got specific category of essentials and non-essentials. So these are the stores potentially. So you take for an example Marks and Spencers, or you take for an example even H&M. So if provided H&M had an entry which is totally from the outside, or a standalone store, let's say, and they can divide their products into essentials and non-essentials. Essentials are like your innerwears, your loungewears, your activewears, and rest all goes into your secondary product. So if there is a clear-cut divide between quick moving products and between leisurely products, like the premium products of that particular store, then it becomes easier for the brands to shut down one area and operate
One
through the other.
section
Now it's
completely.
even more simpler. Yeah, it's even more simpler in hypermarkets, you know, like Reliance had to close down but they have got a clear divide between their essentials and non-essentials. So then why not just keep their essentials operating and
Operations.
non-essentials totally shut? Yes,
Right.
so hypermarkets, it's very relevant, and departmental stores is very relevant to adopt this format.
Thank you so much for
Yes.
answering that. So,
Yeah.
so what are the new age technology that is being used in VM that may further boost the fashion retail sales?
It's more to do with VM and sales as well. So it's not very VM specific, because it's an overall relook that the brands are having on their strategies. It's something like Amazon Go that has done, So Amazon Go has got a store which is totally working through your mobile app. So you don't have to have a sales staff there to help you to do anything. So you just have an app, you just go near the shelf, they are smart shelves, you pick up the product, automatically that product is built in your app, and you pay while you're moving out through your app, because your app is linked to your mobile banking app.
Right.
So
Right.
that's how, or a credit card. That's how it's totally automated. So that's one example, Amazon Go. Then there are other technologies, like, when you are in the store, you are near a product, infrared technologies, where you have an app of the brand, and you don't really need to even touch the product. You can just scan the barcode with your own app, understand the details of the product, understand more about the product. So typically in VM, we work on our five senses. All right. So we are always trying to somehow impact customers through their sensory perceptions. Now, because of COVID, the touch and taste have gone totally out of way. So you're not supposed to touch, you're not supposed to eat or taste anything outside. So the maximum pressure has come on sight. So people want to use sight the most. Obviously, other senses like sound and smell are also playing a role, but sight is the most important one. So technologies that would assist in doing this, or augmented reality, so having mannequins. Zara has done in few of their stores some years back. So they had already done this to have
Self fridges also they
virtual
recent.
mannequins. Yes, yes. Even Nike uses a lot of technology where touch is not required. So, so yes, so something that is helping you browse through with the sight perception of yours. So those technologies are going to be magic mirror, for example. So magic mirror, you choose a product and you stand in front of the mirror, and then you automatically get endless aisles. So you don't have to have a lot of product in the store. There is a screen, and you can see all the product that is there with the brand in the screen, and then buy from that screen. So these are few technologies that we are looking at right now.
Yes. I hope they introduce this sooner in India also, as much possible.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they will have to, because this has given a push, to the digital age. The pandemic has given a big push. It was going
And India
slow
is
in
a larger
India.
market also.
Yeah, yes, yes, yeah.
So that's wonderful. Do you have something more to share, or we can call up for questions?
I would like to share an interesting fact here, an interesting survey, which
Please go
talks
ahead.
about how various formats are going to get affected. In fact, you also asked about EBOs and MBOs. I was looking for this image, I did not find it then. So basically, the low-income groups who are operating, or who are more dependent on the local retail. And we're talking about EBOs and MBOs here with higher income groups. So I will just show you a graphical representation of it over here. Just have a look at it once. So we are looking at these two groups. The top one that you see is of the lower income group. Sorry. The dark green color that you see is of local shops and boutiques. They are unorganized. They are not in the organized format. The light green color that you see is is your EBOs and MBOs, organized retail basically. And what you see in this between the between shade of green is your online. So see how the left one is basically your before pandemic and right one is after pandemic. So here you will see that this was very less over here online, and this has gone a bit higher over here. The dependency on these local ones has increased here, and there
Yes.
is not much, yeah. But in higher income groups, if you see, this remains strong, which is your hypermarkets, MBOs, and EBOs remains still very strong. Their
Right.
dependability on local shops is low, that is dark
Is
green in color. And yeah, and online is going to increase, but that is more to do with your essentials. That is not to do. So this brings us to a fact that brick and mortar is going to remain relevant. It is going to stay. So this anxiousness that we all have, that malls ka kya hoga, stores ka kya hoga. So we all are very hopeful that it is going to be there. We are going to go back and enjoy our shopping experiences. So that is something that I had to share, and that was left. So we can now ask questions. I think there is already a
yes.
question.
Yes. Should I read out? Do you think any
Yes, please.
disadvantages gonna happen in new age technology? I I think she means that with the implementation of new age technology, do you see any disadvantage related to that?
Not really, actually, because it's progressive in nature. Anything that is more progressive in nature brings in a lot of good things along with it. It might take some time for the traditional retailers to really upscale themselves to match the technology that the organized retail would adapt. So there could be a disadvantage to the local, hyper local stores over here, but I don't see technology creating as such a lot of disadvantage. In fact, I suggest that it will be a very good positive attitude for all of us to embrace this fact that technology is here to stay, and also upskill ourselves to be able to address the technological problems or issues. So I think it
Right.
is going to stay, and the disadvantages are less in comparison to the advantages that we are looking at.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on this, because there was a time when we thought that going completely cashless is going to be bizarre. There will be so many
Yes,
people from lower income groups that may not be able to go cashless, but they're absolutely going. In
yes,
fact, you can pay your auto wala or rickshaw wala also with a Paytm or UPI,
absolutely. Yes,
anything that he has. So people have adapted to the technology, and we've seen like going cashless is very easy now. It's been very
yeah,
easy.
yes.
Okay, there's a question. Growth factor of visual merchandiser in terms of long-term aspect. Okay.
Mm, growth
As in,
factor
as
is
in,
a
I
very
think
relative,
what
yeah.
yeah, what she means is that after you accomplish being a visual merchandiser, working with several brands and everything, and where does it lead further after you know going to that peak, reaching that peak of your career in terms of visual merchandising?
Yeah, yes. So that's a very relevant question, I would say, and a very important question anybody should ask, because you have to know your ends and then you can accordingly take your ways to reach there. But it is not so simple. So it's not like you would always want to be a VM and you become the VM head and that's the end of it. So there is always the sky that is open to you. You have to always gain new skills, and that is more relevant in today's day, because if you do not gain new skills, if you do not upscale, upgrade yourself, then of course you're going to become irrelevant. Whether you have reached the end of your VM career or not, still there is a chance of you becoming irrelevant in the market. So for you to be more relevant, for you to keep growing and expanding yourself, There is a lot that needs to be done along with just taking the promotions in the company. So you have to really upscale, upgrade yourself, and then there is no limit, sky's the limit. And the last thing you do when everything is over is open your own company and give your services to others. So there is no end to it. You become an entrepreneur. So
Right, right. So there's another
yeah.
question. Ideal light color in fabric stores, white or orange?
Sorry, I did not get the question.
Trinath has asked, ideal light color in fabric stores, white or orange?
Ideal color
White.
for a fabric store. Yeah, all right.
White is
Okay.
better.
Yes, of course.
If
White is better
those were
because
the
yours is a fabric store and you are not very sure that आपके पास एक specific color में, specific design में fabrics आएंगे. You will get fabrics with a lot of variety which have to contrast your store. And white is the best contrast that you can get in your store. So white is a good color. Go with white. Yes.
absolutely. Oh my God, there are a lot of questions coming in. Okay. What is the procedure to apply in your firm as a visual merchandiser being a fresher? Now that's to the point.
You take my contact from from Priyanka, and then we can have a chat.
Excellent question there. Which software do you use to design a store layout?
Your voice is breaking, Priyanka. Yes, can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, sorry. Which software do you use to design a store layout or a creative plan for the store?
There are many softwares that you use. My favorite is CorelDRAW because it is very handy to me and I can play around with a lot of elements in CorelDRAW. So mine is CorelDRAW, but there are some students of mine who are more happy to use Illustrator, who are more happy to use Photoshop as well. So any software that you are more comfortable with, you can go between these softwares. So mine is CorelDRAW always. Yes.
That's really nice. There are a lot of questions and okay. So are there job opportunities as a visual merchandiser available in the industry as per current COVID scenario? Okay. Are there any job opportunities available for a VM currently?
Brands have restricted a bit in terms of, how much they hire. So that is a practical scenario right now. But like I said, we are going to bounce back. So the hopes are not, so you have got very bright chances to again have a lot of openings in the market. While I'm saying so, I also see a lot of job listings from various brands for very specific designations. So I feel that you must look at various brands and their openings. What is it that they are offering in the market? Very important is also how you have perceived your own career till date. And that becomes the most important thing for you to be there in the market, holding your position and also switching jobs. So yes, right now it's a bit tight, but it will open up.
Right. Thank you so much. I think we will stop our questions here. We are exceeding the time already. And
Okay.
and I would like to start with my gratitude towards all the audience and the speaker for attending this session. I would like to thank you, Prachi, on behalf of our Dean Sir and my whole team and everyone who is present here. Thank you for taking time to speak to us this afternoon. We on one hand as a contributor to the industry and on the other hand being a customer, I think we could relate to everything that we discussed here today. We hope that the retail scenario changes soon and changes for the better, introducing more and more opportunities for the graduating students. And let's hope for the best. Wishing you all the very best for your business and your contribution towards building a healthy society.
Thank you so
once
much.
again. And
Thank you
to
for
all,
having me here. Thank you so much to you and your team. Thank you. Thank you to the sir as well. Thank you
it's
so
our
much.
pleasure. It's our pleasure. Thank you to all the wonderful audience there who joined us today for this session. Hope it was very insightful, and we will continue conducting more such live sessions. So stay tuned, and I will be back next week with a new topic and a new expert speaker to join us. Stay safe and stay curious. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye, Priyanka. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye.